What up, world? You already know what time it is. Boy, members, those who most never need to brag no boast. All we ever did was give a toast to the real folks who done paved the way in the real way for us players to play and parlay this great game that we got for y'all today in 2026. You know, we in the mix. And I got
Cheers.
my right hand with me, as usual.
Salute.
WI
Salute.
in the building. Salute to the real ones, the real son, no film, none. What's happening, player?
I can't
Everything's
call
blessed.
it. Yeah, yeah. You already know. Slow motion with it, but still in motion regardless.
How's the weather, man?
It's
I think
biting.
it's
It's
righteous
biting.
today.
Biting like it got teeth out here. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I'm still effective with the movements, you know.
Yeah, 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 man. The winter seems long nowadays, but I feel like with the global warming, it ain't gonna be too long. The whole world's heating up.
Nah, it's different. It's definitely different. I feel like it starts a bit later, so it's that's what makes it seem longer because it starts later.
Yep. Right. But yeah, man, I want to talk about what's going down in the world today, man. You know what I'm saying? They captured Maduro. The U.S. took over Venezuela, but a lot of people ain't too happy about that. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy work for real though.
Rightfully so. He even has, he was the president, so he has his loyalists, he has his people around him. I know it's constitutional to say the least. But
Yeah.
let's hear what they got to say about it. Fair use, fair use.
The response has been swift. Russia's foreign ministry condemned the attack as armed aggression and called the American pretexts untenable. Ideologically driven hostility has prevailed over practical pragmatism and a willingness to build relations based on trust and predictability, the Russian ministry said. Moscow demanded clarity on Maduro's whereabouts and said his capture would represent an unacceptable encroachment on the sovereignty of an independent state. Russia reaffirmed its solidarity with the Venezuelan people and the Bolivarian leadership. Iran was equally forceful in its condemnation. The Iranian Foreign Ministry called the attack a textbook example of an act of aggression that violates Article 2, Paragraph 4 of the UN Charter, which prohibits the use of force against the territorial integrity of any state. Iran called on the United Nations and all states concerned with international law to condemn the American action immediately. Tehran reaffirmed Venezuela's right to defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity. Even Colombia condemned the strikes. President Gustavo Petro's government said Colombia rejects the aggression against the sovereignty of Venezuela and of Latin America, despite the fact that Colombia does not recognize the Maduro government. This reflected broader Latin American concern that American military action against any country in the region sets a concerning precedent. Cuba also condemned the attack. Venezuela has stated its position. It says it will fight back. Interior Minister Cabello has called for calm, but warned against making things easier for what he called the invading enemy. Defense Minister Pedrino Lopez has announced what he described as full deployment of military forces. Whether Venezuela can mount effective resistance against American military power remains to be seen. The balance of forces heavily favors the United States, but the Bolivarian movement has deep roots in Venezuelan society. The military says it remains loyal, and Venezuela's visible leaders have vowed that they will not surrender. The coming days will determine what happens next, for Venezuela, for the region, and for questions of sovereignty and international law. The world is watching. We are here today, standing in the heart of the capital city, right here in Caracas, after having carefully assessed the extensive damage and destruction caused by the criminal attack, the terrorist attack that was carried out against our people, against our beloved homeland, against the vital electrical facilities, against the Bolivarian Revolution, and even against those innocent individuals who have nothing to do with the Bolivarian Revolution. From this beautiful and historic place, I call for calm, my people, trust in the leadership and trust in the direction and wise decisions of the high political and military command, especially in light of the difficult and challenging situation we are currently going through. Remain calm and composed. Let no one fall into despair or hopelessness. Let no one make things any easier. For the invading enemy, for the terrorist enemy who attacked us in a cowardly and treacherous manner, let no one make things any easier for them under any circumstances. This is not the first struggle, this is not the first battle that some have waged against these people, believing they will defeat us, believing they will tarnish the honor and dignity of the soldier, the police officer, the everyday Venezuelan. We sincerely hope that the world will find the courage to speak out and raise its voice about this attack. Or are you, the international organizations and global bodies, truly going to make your complicity and silence public for all to see, instead of standing up and doing what is right? In the face of the ongoing invading attack, in the face of the murder of innocent civilians, bombs falling on buildings, on places inhabited by civilians, are international organizations going to be complicit in this massacre? The country is completely calm, absolutely calm and peaceful. The country is completely calm. What they tried to do with the bombs and missiles they launched, they ultimately achieved their intended goal. Partially, and I say partially, because they expected the people to run out, maybe recklessly, cowardly. No. Here, the cowards are a thing of the past. This people knows what it has to do. I sincerely thank these dedicated men and women who are here, who have spent the entire night tirelessly going around the city of Caracas, all of them diligently patrolling the streets and neighborhoods of Caracas. We have already had 28 weeks since the first threats. 28 weeks, and they carried out an attack. A treacherous, heinous, and vile attack against the people who were sleeping, against the people who were sleeping. Cowardly, they attacked these people.
The Bolivarian National Armed Forces wish to formally inform the entire world that during the early morning hours of this very day, January 3rd, the Venezuelan people have been the victim of the most criminal military aggression carried out by the government of the United States of America. Up until this very moment, the sheer barbarity of the invading forces who have utterly desecrated our hallowed ground in the specific localities of Fuerte Tiuna, Caracas, and the states of Miranda and Aragua, and La Guaira Municipalities reaching to impact with its missiles and rockets, pose that were fired from its combat helicopters, pose directly into civilian residential areas, pose for which we are now actively gathering all available information, pose concerning the number of injured individuals and fatalities. In response to this utterly despicable and cowardly attack, which poses a grave threat to the peace and stability of the entire region, we hereby issue our most emphatic denunciation before the international community and all multilateral organizations, demanding that the government be unequivocally condemned. The North American government, for its blatant violation of the Charter of the United Nations and of international law, this invasion represents the most significant outrage and profound affront that our nation has ever had to endure, which is a direct consequence and clear manifestation of the insatiable greed for our vital strategic resources. Far from being a supposed struggle against narco-terrorism, this deplorable action seeks to definitively impose a change of regime and to subjugate us to the spurious designs of North American imperialism, trampling on the inalienable right to self-determination, for which our liberators fought and which today we are called to defend with the same dignity. We have been attacked, I say, but they will not be able to make us yield. United as one, our soldiers and our people, we shall collectively forge an impenetrable wall of unwavering resistance. Our deepest aspiration is for peace, yet our enduring legacy is the struggle for true liberty. We who readily extend the hand of brotherhood today must clench our collective fist in resolute defense of all that is rightfully ours. Let us unite, for it is in the unity of our people that we shall find the strength to resist and ultimately to triumph. Amidst this imperial onslaught, I make a fervent call for serenity and for sanity, to maintain our unity and our calm, and in strict and faithful compliance with the established mandates of the Constitution of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, along with the specific stipulations of the Organic Law on States of Exception and the Organic Law on National Security, we therefore fully and unreservedly support and endorse the official decree declaring a state of external commotion throughout the entirety of the national territory. And consequently, the men and women of the Bolivarian National Armed Forces, following instructions from citizen Nicolas Maduro Moros, constitutional president of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, our Commander-in-Chief, we will deploy all of our available capabilities for the comprehensive and integral defense of the nation and for the reestablishment of order and peace. Therefore, we shall activate throughout the entire national geographic space and with the seamless integration of civilian, military, and police elements, the establishment of complete operational readiness by means of the extensive deployment of all our land, air, naval, riverine, and missile assets. Weapon systems for comprehensive defense with the purpose of ensuring the full integration of all elements of national power in the mission of confronting imperial threats, thereby forming a single unified combat bloc. Honor, duty, and history are calling us. Let the resounding cry of our free homeland echo throughout every single corner. Victory is ours because both reason and dignity are firmly on our side, guiding our path. We will certainly be victorious, and may our homeland live on forever.
You hear that? Them people ain't playing.
Nah, for sure not.
Then people said, "Yo, our president and commander in chief, they came through at night cowardly when we were sleeping. Yo, it's messed up, yo."
No, it's gonna be a rough 2026. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be crazy still. To open up like that, you know it's gonna be issues. Not only from those people, but it's yeah, it's a rough way to open up the new year still, to be real. And how the US is going on, like they're really trying to strong arm a thing. But I feel like there's more to it.
You know, there's more to it. There's a lot more to it, but what can we, huh?
Yeah.
What can we say? You know what I'm saying? Let's be honest. We don't know definitively, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like Trump said he had to go after the drug dealers and all that, but it's like you're going wherever the oil is at. The drug dealers that have oil, so it's like,
Hmm.
what are you really doing? Like,
I was trying to strong arm a one two.
but
Strong arming some resources.
yeah, but they said the man's brought up on drug charges. So what does that have to do with the country's oil? Yeah.
Mm.
It's a slippery slope. Well, I guess it's the spoils of war. That's what they're gonna say.
Collateral damage? No, no. Yeah, I guess you could say spoils of war. Well, I'm thinking,
But they didn't go to war though. They just carried on a mission, got the president.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say it. But I will say that it would be a good way to like a good reason to go after him and kind of strong arm the whole situation.
Here, this is another guy talking, part of the military.
The Bolivarian National Armed Forces
Gino
informed the
Lopez.
entire world that in the early hours of today, January 3rd, the Venezuelan people have been subjected to the most criminal military aggression by the government of the United States of America, Padrino Lopez declared. He described the scope of the attacks in stark terms. So far, the barbarity of the invading forces that have desecrated our sacred soil in the areas of Fuerte Tiuna, Caracas, and the states of Miranda, Aragua, and La Guaira has reached the point of striking with their missiles and rockets fired from combat helicopters into residential areas populated by civilians. Padrino Lopez said authorities were gathering information on casualties. We are currently gathering information regarding the wounded and the dead. Padrino Lopez called the American attack the greatest outrage Venezuela has ever suffered. This invasion represents the greatest outrage the country has ever suffered, driven by the insatiable greed for our strategic resources, he said. He rejected the American justification of counter-narcotics operations. Far from any supposed fight against narco-terrorism, this deplorable action seeks to definitively force a regime change and subject us to the spurious designs of North American imperialism, trampling on the inalienable right to self-determination for which our liberators fought and which we are now called to defend with the same dignity. The defense minister's statement directly challenged Washington's stated rationale, framing the action not as law enforcement, but as what he called imperial aggression aimed at seizing Venezuelan resources. Padrino Lopez vowed that Venezuela would resist. They have attacked us, but they will not break us, he declared. United soldiers and people, we will form an indestructible wall of resistance. He spoke of Venezuela's commitment to peace, but also its readiness to fight. Our profound calling is peace, but our enduring heritage is the constant struggle for true freedom. We who always extend our hand in genuine brotherhood today resolutely clench our mighty fist in steadfast defense of what is rightfully ours. The defense minister called for national unity. Let us unite, for in the unity of the people, we will find the strength to resist and to triumph. Both men said Venezuela would resist and would not back down. Padrino Lopez announced that the government had declared what it called a state of external commotion across the entire national territory. In the midst of this imperial onslaught, I make a fervent call for serenity and reason to maintain unity and calm, he said, and in compliance with the Constitution of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, the organic law on states of exception, and the organic law of national security, we fully support the decree of a state of external commotion throughout the national territory. He announced what he described as the full deployment of Venezuela's military capabilities. Consequently, the men and women of the Bolivarian National Armed Forces, following the instructions of citizen Nicolas Maduro Moros, constitutional president of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, our commander-in-chief, will deploy all our capabilities for the comprehensive defense of the nation, the restoration of order and peace. This was notable. Padrino Lopez still referred to Maduro as constitutional president and commander-in-chief, even as Trump claimed Maduro had been captured. Padrino Lopez described the military response in detail. We will activate across the entire spectrum of the National Geographic space and in perfect popular military police unity. the full operational readiness through the massive deployment of all land, air, naval, riverine, and missile resources, he announced. He emphasized that Venezuela possessed advanced weapon systems. Advanced weapon systems are absolutely essential for a truly comprehensive national defense, with the primary purpose of ensuring the seamless integration of all the vital elements of national power in the critical mission to effectively confront and decisively overcome all imperial threats, thereby forming a single, unified, and formidable combat bloc. The defense minister concluded with a rallying cry. Our profound honor, unwavering duty, and rich history profoundly call upon each and every one of us to act now. Let the powerful cry of a truly free homeland resound loudly and clearly in every single corner of our beloved nation. Victory is absolutely ours because unwavering reason and profound dignity are firmly on our side. We shall most certainly prevail. Long live the homeland. Venezuela's foreign ministry issued a formal statement condemning the attack. The Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela rejects, repudiates, and denounces before the international community the extremely serious military aggression perpetrated by the current government of the United States of America against Venezuelan territory and population, the ministry said. The statement identified the locations hit: the civilian and military locations of the city of Caracas, capital of the republic, and the states of Miranda, Aragua, and La Guaira. The ministry accused the United States of This act constitutes a flagrant violation of the United Nations Charter, particularly its Articles 1 and 2, which enshrine respect for sovereignty, the legal equality of states, and the prohibition on the use of force. Such aggression threatens international peace and stability, specifically in Latin America and the Caribbean, and puts the lives of millions of people at grave risk. The foreign ministry stated what Venezuela believes is the motive. The objective of this attack is none other than to seize Venezuela's strategic resources, particularly its oil and minerals, attempting to break the nation's political independence by force, the statement said. But the ministry expressed confidence that Venezuela would prevail. They will not succeed. After more than 200 years of independence, the people and their legitimate government remain steadfast in defense of sovereignty and the inalienable right to decide their own destiny. The statement rejected what it called an attempt to impose a colonial war. The attempt to impose a colonial war to destroy the Republican form of government and force a regime change in alliance with the fascist oligarchy will fail just like all previous attempts. Venezuela invoked its right to self-defense under international law. In strict adherence to Article 51 of the United Nations Charter, Venezuela reserves the right to exercise legitimate defense to protect its people, its territory, and its independence, the foreign ministry stated. Article 51 of the UN Charter recognizes the inherent right of states to individual or collective self-defense if an armed attack occurs. The ministry called for international solidarity. We call on the people and governments of Latin America, the Caribbean, and the world to mobilize in active solidarity against this imperialist aggression. The statement concluded by invoking Hugo Chavez. As Supreme Commander Hugo Chavez Frias pointed out, in the face of any circumstance of new difficulties, no matter how great, the response of all patriots is unity, struggle, battle, and victory. Eyewitnesses in Caracas described a night of terror. One journalist reporting from downtown Caracas said, "I believe that a few minutes before 2 a.m., at least in the part of Caracas where I live, which is downtown Caracas, the electricity went down, and immediately explosions and aircraft noise were heard. A few minutes later, I managed to dress up and go outside, and we have been reporting live since that moment." Another reporter described the scene at 3 a.m. It's just past 3 a.m. in Caracas, the Venezuelan capital. It's been about half an hour since we heard the latest explosions, and that neighborhood of the city is now without power. That is an entire neighborhood of the city. We're still hearing drones, presumably American jets in the air over the city. They're circling. They're still circling. The reporter described dozens of blasts. But again, it's been quiet for about half an hour. Before that, It was explosion after explosion. Dozens of blasts targeting again the western outskirts of the city. We filmed several of those explosions. American media began confirming details of the operation. According to CBS News, U.S. President Donald Trump ordered strikes on sites inside Venezuela, including military facilities, as Washington sharply intensified its campaign against the government of President Nicolas Maduro. Sources told CBS News the Trump administration was aware of reports of explosions and aircraft over Caracas. But as of that time, there had been no official public comment from the White House. The Pentagon acknowledged reports of explosions, but, according to reports, a spokesperson refused to confirm or deny any American involvement. According to the New York Times, witnesses reported activity at least 6 sites, including areas near Fort Tiuna Army Base, La Carlota Air Base, the 23rd of January neighborhood, and in the vicinity of Miraflores Palace, the presidential residence. Colombia's President Gustavo Petro issued an urgent warning to the world. Right now, they are bombing Caracas, Petro said. They are bombing with missiles. The OAS and the UN must meet immediately. Petro's statement was significant. Colombia does not recognize the Maduro government, yet Colombia's president chose to sound the alarm about what he described as a bombing campaign against Venezuela's capital. The statement reflected broader Latin American concern about the implications of American military action in the region, regardless of views on Maduro himself. Reports identified multiple locations that may have been hit by the strikes. According to the New York Times, witnesses reported activity at Fort Tiuna Army Base, which is home to the Venezuelan Ministry of Defense. Videos showed explosions and smoke near the base. La Carlota Air Base in Caracas was also reportedly hit. Footage from the airport showed scorched areas after explosions. The 23rd de Enero neighborhood, a historic stronghold of Chavismo, was among the areas affected. Reports also mentioned activity near Miraflores Palace, the presidential residence. Some accounts online claimed a senior official's residence was hit, but that detail has not been independently confirmed. Cabello is Venezuela's interior minister. Higuerote Airport in Venezuela's Miranda state was also reportedly attacked, with massive explosions triggering flames. The strikes extended beyond Caracas to the coastal areas. Multiple explosions, flames, and smoke were reported emanating from the port of La Guaira, just to the north of Caracas. Videos showed smoke and fireballs emanating from the city. La Guaira is home to Venezuela's main port and the airport that serves Caracas, located about 10 to 15 kilometers north of the capital. One reporter noted, "We know that these strikes, presumably by the United States, haven't just targeted Caracas, but also La Guaira, for example, the coastal city's port infrastructure, the airport that serves Caracas." Strikes hit port-related infrastructure, which could disrupt transport and supplies. Venezuela's oil export operations were reported operating normally at this time. Unverified reports circulated of ground operations. Footage circulating online, still unconfirmed, showed locals screaming, "The Marines! The Marines have arrived!" Additional unverified footage claimed to show American forces storming Venezuelan ports and what appeared to be U.S. Air Force strikes on Venezuelan army bases. Unconfirmed reports suggested that the U.S. Marine Corps invaded several Venezuelan islands. There were scattered, unverified claims of security detentions and armored movement near key sites. Treat those reports cautiously. We emphasize, these reports of ground operations remain unverified. The fog of war produces confusion and misinformation. Viewers should approach these claims with appropriate caution. Russian state media reported additional claims. Russian state media claimed some aircraft may have reduced trackable signals during the operation. Independent confirmation is not available. Witnesses and videos describe helicopters and aircraft over parts of Caracas, but aircraft types are unclear. RT also reported that a U.S. Stratotanker reportedly refueled strike fighters during the operation, suggesting a sustained air campaign rather than a single strike. These reports come from Russian state media and should be understood in that context. Independent verification is not available.
You hear that? They fueled in the air. They fueled up in the air. They struck again.
Through the capital recorded there to be airstrikes.
Americans are
The footage showed the night sky
on
turning
one,
red
bro.
amid the roars of what sounded like aircraft. Plumes of smoke ripped the skyline of
Say
Caracas. Tires were visible.
we ain't even landing, you know. We just doing this shit extraction. Everybody was asleep. You know what I mean? Everybody was asleep. So you gotta tell me, man. Are they doing the right thing, you know? Tell me how much government that they did this to destabilize the shit took the reason. How many puppet governments that they had out there over the years? Close to 100 of them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
It's like it's not right.
You guys are trying to flex, eh? Enforce their trying to show what they could do.
Yeah. But remember what they tried to do in Vietnam? They weren't too successful, even though they act like they were, you know, in Kuwait. Now they want to go after Cuba. They're just antagonizing Russia, you know?
Yeah.
And China sitting back watching everything. But China doesn't want. China said that they messed up too, you know? They violated international law.
Exactly. China's gonna bomb on America just now. China? China's gonna get upset and it's gonna turn up. Because that's the thing, right? China was in cahoots with Venezuela. Because they have a lot of oil there. So boom. From your
And
lock off,
so was Russia too.
lock off all these people from what they're you know what I mean, what they've been getting, and it's gonna cause a disruption within their whole flow. It's gonna cause disruption, bro. Somebody's gonna suffer. Domino effect. So for every action, there's a reaction. So we gotta see what Trump is. I get it. He wants to enforce his power and let the smaller countries know, hey, we're not to be messed with. But the thing is, these smaller countries are also important pieces to the puzzle of a lot of other countries. So if you're not just messing with that small country, you're messing with a couple countries, and you're gonna find out. So they're gonna have to answer to a few different, like you said, the UN said they're violating certain laws, and they're gonna have to come to terms with that. You know?
They done it before though. So I don't know. But they gotta no, they really gotta answer for that though. They can't just ignore it, you know? That's
Not
like
this
this.
day and age. No. Maybe 50 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, but now, nah, ain't nobody playing like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just South America. They want their shit how they have it, you know? They don't want America to come in and start, you know what I'm saying? Bossing the people around.
Nah, they're gonna be disgruntled all the while for sure. Naturally, it's only right. It's only normal, I should say.
That's crazy. But the Venezuelan people are they're not going for it. They're not going for it.
As they shouldn't. They should not be going for it for sure.
And the American people who believe in justice shouldn't go for it either. Because let's be honest here. We've seen this script before, time and time again. Ain't no good gonna come out of this. America has how much hundreds of billions of barrels of oil already in the reserve. Why do they need more? Just to have control, domination.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't know, man. It's not right. But from a military aspect, they feel like they're doing the right thing, and that's how they're gonna bring it to the rest of the country. You know,
Hmm.
oh, we need this in order to stop the flow of drugs to come in from coming in. We need to strategically have a base on these grounds, and blah blah blah. You know,
Hmm.
and these people are dealing in drugs, and they're drug dealers, and they're corrupted governments, whatnot. Like the United States is a bed of roses.
Oh, that's crazy. That's foul play.
You know, so these are the things we gotta pontificate on when it comes to freedom, equality, and justice for all. You know,
Hmm.
they said it themselves. Their inalienable rights, the freedom and pursuit of happiness. You know? They have their socialist government going on. They have their things going on. But I think it's because they sent a lot of the criminals just like they did in Cuba to the United States. You know,
Hmm.
people are complaining. They're like, "Yo, how are these Venezuelans come over here with switches and all that, papered up?" And they're, you know, so it's different. It's a lot of different things. You know, you appease to the. It's like you create a problem with the citizens in your own country from foreigners, and then you go invade the foreign country, and then it's like a cycle. It just happens all over again. You know?
Right.
So that's not the proper way of handling things when it comes to international politics. But
Right.
big bank take little bank. If you got the biggest military in the world, you're not gonna flex your muscle from time to time again. And these
I think that's
people
what
out
it
here
comes down to.
playing in your face.
Yeah, that's a major factor. That's the reason why these guys are doing what they're doing. They're like, yo, we have all this.
Military
Let's
might.
exactly. Let's flex and see what we could do. Practice a couple of tactics that we've been working on.
Mm,
These guys are
yeah,
running a scrimmage on Venezuela, like running a scrimmage, like that's crazy.
yep. And they won't stop until they get
Pop,
everybody caught up in that bullshit.
popped in, yeah, popped in the calf muscle. Somebody's gonna take the legs right from under them.
And that's the thing, though. You know, who's the nation to do it, man? Russia and China been talking big shit for years. Now's their time to shine. But we don't want that because we don't want no invasions, all that. Not invasions, but missiles dropping. I'm just side of the hemisphere, but anyway, we just calling a spade, calling it like it is, man. It's like it's some gangster shit, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Straight up gangster shit.
No, it's a movie for sure.
But I think Maduro, being the smart guy he is, planned it all for them to come get him, you know? Because he had his thumbs up when he was arrested, you know?
Yeah.
So he knew he had a backup plan with China and Russia already in the works, you know?
Mm. That's kind of crazy stuff.
Yeah, for sure. You seen it coming, you know? So they arrested him and his wife? Come on. Kind of
Yeah.
drug charges could they be really on, you know?
Right. Right. No, that's a good question though. Can we get more details on those charges or what?
Yep.
Get some
Hold on, give
details
me a
on them
second.
charges, man. Cause yo, these guys are, you know what I mean? Like being that is that, and we know a lot of it is just America just trying to flex their muscle. We gotta dig a little bit deeper and see where did uh did this really stem from, you know? Cause yeah, they're saying that, but what's really real? Let's dig a little bit. At the end of the day, it's hey
Yeah.
man, never
You
know, you
think
know.
you think Maduro's like some big time drug dealer though?
That's how they're moving with him. You know what I'm saying? Those are not no little petty movements that's going on here. They deal with the man like he's on El Chapo's level. So let's see what kind of
Yeah, they brought him to Brooklyn just like they did El Chapo.
let's see what kind of vibe these guys are on,
But that's
man.
what I'm saying. Okay, he sold drugs. Whoop de doo. That means he could take all their oil? That don't make no sense.
Hmm.
Okay, here's one. Fair use,
Live in
fair
the New York
use.
aboard a government plane that touched down hours after he and his wife surrendered to U.S. Special Forces.
At its core, this was an arrest of two indicted fugitives of American justice, and the Department of War supported the Department of Justice in that job.
They were taken to the USS Iwo Jima, President Trump posting this image of Maduro aboard the ship, blindfolded, restrained, and wearing gray sweatpants. From there, a stop at the U.S. Naval Base in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, before the flight to Stewart Air National Guard Base, where Maduro descended the steps at sunset, surrounded by federal agents. Maduro flew by helicopter to Manhattan, where he, his wife, and 4 others are charged with narco-terrorism conspiracy to import cocaine, and possession of machine guns.
The indictment said Maduro was at the forefront of a violent, corrupt 25-year conspiracy to flood the United States with cocaine. Prosecutors said he enriched himself, corrupted his country, and partnered with some of the most violent and prolific drug traffickers and narco-terrorists in the world. Maduro has previously denied involvement with drug trafficking, accusing the U.S. of using the war on drugs as a bid to remove him and seize Venezuela's vast oil reserves. In a final interview filmed with state television just 3 days before he was captured, Maduro saying, the U.S. government knows that if they want to seriously discuss an agreement to combat drug trafficking, we're ready. Maduro took power in 2013 after the death of Hugo Chavez. Federal prosecutors said, like Chavez, Maduro participates in, perpetuates, and protects a culture of corruption in which powerful Venezuelan elites enrich themselves through drug trafficking. Maduro was not the first foreign leader to face drug charges in the United States. In 1989, President George H.W. Bush sent the military into Panama to oust Manuel Noriega, who surrendered and was convicted of drug trafficking, money laundering, and racketeering. And former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez was convicted of drug trafficking in 2024. President Trump pardoned him in November. Now Maduro and his wife Celia Flores are preparing for their first appearance in Manhattan federal court. And that initial court appearance could occur as soon as Monday, Gio. For the foreseeable future, Maduro is going to remain in this jail where Luigi Mangione is awaiting his trial, where Sam Bankman-Fried, Sean
You see this bullshit?
and Ghislaine Maxwell have all spent time.
Oh, you hear this
and all
bullshit?
complained about the conditions inside.
Yeah, yeah.
Gio.
A stunning journey from Caracas to New York. Aaron Katursky, thank you so much.
Okay. There's President Trump on it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Fair use, fair use.
Stuff. Appreciate you being here. Late last night and early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like we have not seen since World War II. It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. And if you think about it, there's some other good ones like the attack on Soleimani, the attack on al-Baghdadi, and the obliteration and decimation of the Iran nuclear sites just recently in an operation known as Midnight Hammer.
You see how Trump talking like, oh, I did all this stuff, look at me. That's what he does. That's what he do. Pluribus. Listen.
Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark and it was deadly. But captured along with
What's wrong with this guy? It was dark and it was deadly. Did he have to say that?
Both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York, Jay Clayton, for their campaign of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States and its citizens. I want to thank the men and women of our military who achieved such an extraordinary success overnight with breathtaking speed, power, precision, and competence. We rarely see anything like it. You've seen some raids in this country that didn't go so well. They were an embarrassment. If you look back to Afghanistan, or if you look back to Jimmy Carter days, there were different days. We're a respected country again, like maybe like never before. These highly trained warriors operating in collaboration with U.S. law enforcement caught them in a very ready position. They were waiting for us. They knew we had many ships out in the sea, sort of waiting. They knew we were coming. So they were in a ready, what's called a ready position. But they were completely overwhelmed and very quickly incapacitated. If you would have seen what I saw last night, you would have been very impressed. I'm not sure that you'll ever get to see it, but it was an incredible thing to see. Not a single American service member was killed, and not a single piece of American equipment was lost. We had many helicopters, many planes, many people involved in that fight. But think of that, not one piece of military equipment was lost, not one service member was, more importantly, killed. The United States military is the strongest and most fearsome military on the planet by far. With capabilities and skills our enemies can
He's getting old, boy.
begin to imagine. We have the best equipment anywhere in the world. There's no equipment like what we have. And you see that even if you just look at the boats, you know, we've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by sea. 90%. Each boat kills 25, on average, 25,000 people. We knocked out 97%. And those drugs mostly come from a place called Venezuela. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And it has to be judicious, because that's what we're all about. We want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela, and that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their countries, their homeland. We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela that doesn't have the good of the Venezuelan people in mind. And decades of them. We're not going to let that happen. We're there now, and what people don't understand, but they understand as I say this, we're there now, but we're going to stay until such time as the proper transition can take place. So we're going to stay until such time, we're going to run it essentially until such time as a proper transition can take place. As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust for a long period of time. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping and what could have taken place. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country. And we are ready to stage a second and much larger attack if we need to do so. So we were prepared to do a second wave if we needed to do so. We actually assumed that a second wave would be necessary, but now it's probably not. The first wave, if you'd like to call it that, the first attack was so successful, we probably don't have to do a second, but we're prepared to do a second wave, a much bigger wave, actually. This was pinpoint, but we have a much bigger wave that probably won't have to do. This partnership of Venezuela with the United States of America, a country that everybody wants to be involved with because of what we were able to do and accomplish, will make the people of Venezuela rich, independent, and safe. And it will also make the many, many people from Venezuela that are living in the United States extremely happy. They suffered. They suffered. So much was taken from them. They're not going to suffer anymore. The illegitimate dictator Maduro was the kingpin of a vast criminal network responsible for trafficking colossal amounts of deadly and illicit drugs into the United States. As alleged in the indictment, he personally oversaw the vicious cartel known as Cartel de las Solas, which flooded our nation with lethal poison responsible for the deaths of countless Americans, many, many Americans, hundreds of thousands over the years of Americans died because of him. Maduro and his wife will soon face the full might of American justice and stand trial on American soil. Right now, they're on a ship. They'll be heading to ultimately New York, and then a decision will be made, I assume, between New York and Miami or Florida. But we have people where the overwhelming evidence of their crimes will be presented in a court of law. And I've seen it. I've seen what we have. It's both horrible and breathtaking that something like this could have been allowed to take place. For many years after his term as president of Venezuela expired, Maduro remained in power and waged a ceaseless campaign of violence, terror, and subversion against the United States of America, threatening not only our people, but the stability of the entire region. You all saw it. In addition to trafficking gigantic amounts of illegal drugs that inflicted untold suffering and human destruction all over the country, all over in particular the United States, Maduro sent savage and murderous gangs, including the bloodthirsty prison gang Tren de Aragua, to terrorize American communities nationwide. And he did indeed. They were in Colorado. They took over apartment complexes. They cut the fingers of people that they call police. They were brutal. They're not so brutal now. And I just have to congratulate our military, Pete, and everybody, and our National Guard, because the job that they've done, whether it's in Washington, D.C., where we have a totally safe city, where it was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the world, frankly, and now we have no crime in Washington, D.C. We haven't had a killing. We had the terrorist attack a few weeks ago. A little bit of a different kind of a threat. But we haven't had a killing in a long period of time, 6-7 months. We used to have two, on average, 2 a week in Washington, our capital. We don't have that anymore. The restaurants are opening. Everyone's happy. They go in, they walk in their daughters, they walk in their children, their wives, they walk to restaurants. Restaurants are opening all over Washington, D.C. So I want to thank the National Guard. I want to thank our military. And I want to thank law enforcement. It's been amazing. And they should do it with more cities. We're doing it, as you know. And we're doing it in Memphis, Tennessee right now. And crime is down. We just sort of started a few weeks ago. But crime is down now 77%. And the governor of Louisiana called, great person, and he wanted us to help him, as you know, in a certain very nice part of Louisiana. And we have done that. It was a rough section, and we have crime down. I understand it's down to almost nothing already after 2.5 weeks. New Orleans, it's down to almost nothing. And we've only been there for 2.5 weeks. Can't imagine why governors wouldn't want us to help. We also helped, as you know, in Chicago, and crime went down a little bit there. We did a very small help because we had no working ability with the governor. The governor was a disaster, and the mayor was a disaster, but it knocked down crime. But we're pulling out of there. When they need us, we'll know. You'll know. You'll be writing about it. And likewise, Los Angeles, where we saved Los Angeles early on, where the head of the police department made a statement that if the federal government didn't come in, we would have lost Los Angeles. That's long after the fires. That's when they had the riots in Los Angeles. We did a great job. Got no credit for it whatsoever, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. We don't need the credit. But we'll be pulling out when they need us. They'll call, or we'll go back if we have to. We'll go back. But we did a great job in various cities. But the place that we're very proud of is Washington, D.C., because it's our nation's capital. We took it from being a crime-ridden mess to being one of the safest cities in the country. But the gangs that they sent raped, tortured, and murdered American women and children. They were in all of the cities I mentioned, Trinidad, and they were sent by Maduro to terrorize our people, and now Maduro will never again be able to threaten an American citizen or anybody from Venezuela. There will no longer be threats. For years, I've highlighted the stories of those innocent Americans whose lives were so heartlessly robbed by this Venezuelan terrorist organization. Really one of the worst. One of the worst is still the worst. Americans like 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungari from Houston. Beautiful Jocelyn Nungari, what happened to her? They, as you know, they kidnapped, assaulted, and murdered by Trinidad animals. They murdered Jocelyn and left her dead under the bridge. There was a bridge that will never be the same to so many people after seeing what happened. As I've said many times, the Maduro regime emptied out their prisons, sent their worst, most violent monsters into the United States to steal American lives. And they came from mental institutions and insane asylums. They came from prisons and jails. The reason I say both, they sound similar. Actually, prisons, a little bit more hostile, a little bit tougher. A mental institution isn't as tough as an insane asylum, but we got them both. They sent from their mental institutions. They sent from their jails, prisons. They were drug dealers. They were drug kingpins. They sent everybody bad into the United States, but no longer. And we have now a border where nobody gets through. In addition, Venezuela unilaterally seized and stole American oil, American assets, and American platforms, costing us billions and billions of dollars. They did this a while ago, but we never had a president that did anything about it. They took all of our property. It was our property. We built it. And we never had a president that decided to do anything about it. Instead, they fought wars that were 10,000 miles away. We built Venezuela oil industry with American talent, drive, and skill, and the socialist regime stole it from us during those previous administrations, and they stole it through force. This constituted one of the largest thefts of American property in the history of our country, considered the largest theft of property in the history of our country. Massive oil infrastructure was taken like we were babies, so we didn't do anything about it. I would have done something about it. America will never allow foreign powers to rob our people and drive us back into and out of our own hemisphere. And that's what they did. Furthermore, under the now proposed dictator Maduro, Venezuela was increasingly hosting foreign adversaries in our region and acquiring menacing offensive weapons that could threaten U.S. interests and lives. And they used those weapons last night. Potentially in league with the cartels operating along our border. All of these actions were in gross violation of the core principles of American foreign policy, dating back more than 2 centuries. And not anymore. All the way back, dating to the Monroe Doctrines. And the Monroe Doctrine is a big deal, but we've superseded it by a lot. By a real lot. They now call it the Monroe Doctrine, but I don't know. It's Monroe Doctrine. We sort of forgot about it. It was very important, but we forgot about it. We don't forget about it anymore. Under our new national security strategy, American dominance in the Western Hemisphere will never be questioned again. Won't happen. So just in concluding, for decades, other administrations have neglected or even contributed to these growing security threats in the Western Hemisphere. Under the Trump administration, we are reasserting American power in a very powerful way in our home region. And our home region is very different than it was just a short while ago. The future will be, and we did this in my first term. We had great dominance in my first term, and we have far greater dominance right now. Everyone's coming back to us. The future will be determined by the ability to protect commerce and territory and resources that are core to national security. These are core to our national security. Just like tariffs are, they made our country rich, and they've made our national security strong, stronger than ever before. But these are the iron laws that have always determined global power. And we're going to keep it that way. We will secure our borders. We'll stop the terrorists. We will crash the cartels, and we will defend our citizens against all threats, foreign and domestic. Other presidents may have lacked the courage or whatever to defend America, but I will never allow terrorists and criminals to operate with impunity against the United States. This extremely successful operation should serve as warning to anyone who would threaten American sovereignty or endanger American lives. Very importantly, the embargo on all Venezuelan oil remains in full effect. The American Armada remains poised in position, and the United States retains all military options until the United States demands have been fully met and fully satisfied. All political and military figures in Venezuela should understand what happened to Maduro can happen to them, and it will happen to them if they aren't just fair, even to their people. The dictator and terrorist, Maduro, is finally gone in Venezuela. People are free. They're free again. It's been a long time for them, but they're free. America is a safer nation. This morning, it's a prouder nation this morning because it didn't allow this horrible person and this country that was doing very bad things to us. It didn't allow it to happen. And the Western Hemisphere is right now a much safer place to be. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank General Raisin Kane. He's fantastic, man. I've worked with a lot of generals. I worked with some I didn't like. I worked with some I didn't respect. I worked with some that just weren't good. But this guy is fantastic. I watched last night one of the most precise attacks on sovereignty. I mean, it was an attack for justice. And I'm very proud of him, and I'm very proud of our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, who I'm going to ask to say a few words. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, can you explain how the U.S. will run in Venezuela?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Finally, a commander-in-chief the world respects and the American people deserve. As the president said, words can barely capture the bravery and the power and the precision of this historic operation. A massive joint military and law enforcement raid flawlessly executed by the greatest Americans our country has to offer. American warriors are second to none, the best in the world and the best of our country. What all of us witnessed last night was sheer guts and grit, gallantry, and glory
Sheer
of the
guts
American warrior.
and grit.
I'm simply humbled by such man. I tip my hat to our chairman, Dan Raisin Kane, and all those Americans who stood watch last night. Our warriors are the elite of America, and again, President Trump has your back. No other country on planet Earth, and it's not even close, could pull this kind of operation off. And no other president has ever shown this kind of leadership, courage, and resolve. The most powerful combination the world has ever seen. As the president said, our adversaries remain on notice. America can project our will anywhere, anytime. The coordination, the stealth, the lethality, the precision, the very long arm of American justice, all on full display in the middle of the night. Nicolas Maduro had his chance, just like Iran had their chance, until they didn't and until he didn't. He effed around, and he found out. President Trump is serious about stopping the flow of violence to our country. Deadly serious about stopping the flow of drugs and poison to our people. Deadly serious about getting back the oil that was stolen from us. And deadly serious.
Who says that about their
ops? You messed around and you found out?
the government? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's so cliche to say. You know? And then a lot of people are gonna take that and run with it and be like, yeah. You know, the bravado. But it's not something professionally you should be saying. Because it's a serious matter still. A lot of what he's saying, the rest of the world is not going to take lightly, you know? But I guess that's just the American machismo, you know? Where they could think that they have the best army in the world, but a lot of other armies are coming up and they're not backing down either.
Right.
So it's like, are we going to continue the perpetual warring until perpetuity?
Until they mess around and find out?
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Right now, I feel like it's all talk. It's all talk. They're trying to.
Yeah, it's a lot of talk. They're bigging themselves up too much, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
They never used to do that back in the day, so there's a problem with that.
Experience of integrating
They just used to handle their business.
Ground, space, and maritime operations. While the past 2 decades have honed the skills of our special operations forces, this particular mission required every component of our joint force, with soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Guardians working in unison with our intelligence agency partners and law enforcement teammates in an unprecedented operation. We leveraged our unmatched intelligence capabilities and our years of experience in hunting terrorists. And we could not have done this mission without the incredible work by various intelligence agencies, including the CIA, NSA, and NGA. We watched, we waited, we prepared, we remained patient and professional. This mission was meticulously planned, drawing lessons from decades of missions over the last many years, many missions over these last many years. This was an audacious operation that only the United States could do. It required the utmost of precision and integration within our joint force. And the word integration does not explain the sheer complexity of such a mission. An extraction so precise, it involved more than 150 aircraft launching across the Western Hemisphere in close coordination, all coming together in time and place to layer effects for a single purpose, to get an interdiction force into downtown Caracas while maintaining the element of tactical surprise. Failure of one component of this well-oiled machine would have endangered the entire mission, and failure is never an option for America's joint force. Those in the air over Caracas last night were willing to give their lives for those on the ground and in the helicopters. Let me talk a little bit about the preparation.
Let's be honest.
After months of work by our intelligence teammates to find Maduro and understand how he moved, where he lived, where he traveled, what he ate, what he wore, what were his pets. In early December, our force was set pending a series of aligned events. Key was choosing the right day to minimize the potential for civilian harm and maximize the element of surprise and minimize the harm to the indicted personnel. So as the president said, they could be brought to justice. And as the president said earlier today, weather in Venezuela is always a factor this time of the year. And over the weeks through Christmas and New Year's, the men and women of the United States military sat ready, patiently waiting for the right triggers to be met and the president to order us into action. Last night, the weather broke just enough, clearing a path that only the most skilled aviators in the world could maneuver through. Ocean, mountain, low cloud ceilings, but when tasked with a mission, this organization does not quit. At 10:46 p.m. Eastern time last night, the president ordered the United States military to move forward with this mission. He said to us, and we appreciate it, Mr. President, good luck and Godspeed. And those words were transmitted to the entire Joint Force. Over the course of the night, aircraft began launching from 20 different bases on land and sea across the Western Hemisphere. In total, more than 150 aircraft, bombers, fighters, intelligence, reconnaissance, surveillance, rotary wing were in the air last night. Thousands and thousands of hours of experience were airborne. Our youngest crew member was 20, and our oldest crew member was 49. And there's simply no match for American military might. As the night began, the helicopters took off with the extraction force, which included law enforcement officers, and began their flight into Venezuela at 100 feet above the water. As they approached Venezuelan shores, the United States began layering different effects provided by Spacecom, Cybercom, and other members of the interagency to create a pathway. Overhead, those forces were protected by aircraft from the United States Marines, the United States Navy, the United States Air Force, and the Air National Guard. The force included F-22s, F-35s, F-18s, EA-18s, E-2s, B-1 bombers, and other support aircraft, as well as numerous remotely piloted drones. As the force began to approach Caracas, the Joint Air Component began dismantling and disabling the air defense systems in Venezuela, employing weapons to ensure the safe passage of the helicopters into the target area. The goal of our air component is, was, and always will be to protect the helicopters and the ground force and get them to the target and get them home. As the force crossed the last point of high terrain where they'd been hiding in the clutter, we assessed that we had maintained totally the element of surprise. As the helicopter force ingressed towards the objective at low level, we arrived at Maduro's compound at 1:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 2:01 a.m. Caracas local time, and the apprehension force descended into Maduro's compound and moved with speed, precision, and discipline towards their objective, and isolated the area to ensure the safety and security of the ground force while apprehending the indicted persons. On arrival into the target area, the helicopters came under fire, and they replied with that fire with overwhelming force and self-defense. One of our aircraft was hit, but remained flyable, and as the president said earlier today, all of our aircraft came home, and that aircraft remained flyable during the rest of the mission. As the operation unfolded at the compound, our air and ground intelligence teams provided real-time updates to the ground force, ensuring those forces could safely navigate the complex environment without unnecessary risk. The force remained protected by overhead tactical aviation. Maduro and his wife, both indicted, gave up and were taken into custody by the Department of Justice, assisted by our incredible U.S. military with professionalism and precision, with no loss of U.S. life. After securing the indicted persons, the force began to prep for departure. Helicopters were called in to exfiltrate the extraction force, while fighter aircraft and remotely piloted aircraft provided overhead coverage and suppressive fire. There were multiple self-defense engagements as the force began to withdraw out of Venezuela. The force successfully exfiltrated and returned to their afloat launch bases, and the force was over the water at 3:29 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with indicted persons on board. And both Maduro and his wife were embarked aboard the USS Ujima. In closing, what we've witnessed today is a powerful demonstration of America's joint force. We think, we develop, we train, we rehearse, we debrief, we rehearse again and again, not to get it right, but to ensure that we cannot get it wrong. Our jobs are to integrate combat power so when the order comes, we can deliver overwhelming force at the time and the place of our choosing against any foe anywhere in the world. I am immensely proud today of our joint force and filled with gratitude to represent them here today. There is simply no mission too difficult for these incredible professionals and the families that stand by them and support them. As we
You guys
stand
are
here
real
this
cocky,
morning, our forces remain in the
It's not
region
meant to be too
at a high
cocky.
state of readiness, prepared to project
I know
power,
they're
defend themselves,
proud.
and our interests in the region. This operation is a testament to the dedication and unwavering commitment to justice and our resolve to hold accountable those who threaten peace and stability. In closing, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the brave men and women who executed this mission. Their courage and tireless commitment to our nation are what makes us strong. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and thank you, Mr. President.
Well, I don't have much to add to what you've heard now, other than the following points. Nicolas Maduro was indicted in 2020 in the United States. He's not the legitimate president of Venezuela. That's not just us saying it. The first Trump administration, the Biden administration, the second Trump administration, none of those three recognize him. He's not recognized by the European Union and multiple countries around the world. He is a fugitive of American justice with a $50 million reward, which I guess you're saying $50 million. And
Sure.
yeah, exactly. But
Don't let anybody claim it. Nobody deserves it but us.
But I want to be clear about one thing. Nicolas Maduro had multiple
You hear that?
What
I
he
don't
said?
know, man. Why did they make it up for? Why are they acting like they're so ahead of the curve on every angle?
I think they're trying to scare their adversaries. I think it's a scare tactic.
Yep, my bad. And technology. They got technology now, so they think that they can pinpoint accuracy, catch everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because they got technology,
Mm.
and to some degree, they do have a point. Well, when they say anywhere in the world, that means they're like, oh, we don't care who you are, we'll take you in, like take shit.
Yeah. They're trying to let their nuts hang. Yeah.
But that's not how international law works, you know.
Right.
So it goes to show, if you're a
There's all.
communist country with 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 nuclear capabilities, they don't want to mess with you. If you have like Russia and China, they're on a whole nother level with it, right?
Hmm.
Like Russia, you can fit 5 United States into Russia, yeah? China, they have 5 times more people. So I'm trying to figure out how the United States is gonna handle them. And if they're not gonna handle them, I don't know, drug shit, then Why are you bringing in your billion-dollar companies to start fracking for more oil?
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that therein lies the question, you know? You're saying all this shit to say what? There's no more drugs gonna be in the United States? Yeah, that's a lie. You think there's gonna be more drugs being sold because they captured Maduro?
Yeah, they need a lot more than that. That's not enough, still, for sure not.
They're not
But
gonna.
yeah,
They said they stopped 97% of the drugs on the boats or something like that, which I don't think so. You know?
97. Yeah, that's what. What's the other 3%? That's
You know?
3% of it got away. Like, the other 3% got away.
But it had to get away. Yeah.
That's a funny ass number. 97%.
Yeah. You know, somebody always got to get away, right? And that usually the load that has the bulk of the shit. No, just, it's like, come on, bro. Who they think they fooling? Let's be honest here. The United States are going after cartels, been going after cartels for years. Did that stop the flow of drugs from coming in by the
No,
metric tons?
nah, not at all. They gotta have a what you call it, a cover up, eh? That's the cover up. At least they could say they're doing something, you know? It's like
Yeah,
every
but
time.
they're going into the country to frack for thing for what? They're like, oh, did you hear the man? He's like, oh, they weren't getting as much oil as they could. We're gonna come in with our billion-dollar companies, huge companies, the biggest in the world. We're gonna extract more oil, and we're gonna sell it for the
For the country, so the country's gonna be rich.
yeah.
Yeah,
You see, you see
that's
the
so.
bullshit. The bullshit, right in front of our faces.
With a serious face too. Nah,
Bottom line, he's not recognized in the AU. You know, he's a fugitive. Wanted for $50 million. Blah blah blah. So you're telling me that all these narco traffickers are gonna get taken out? Are there going to be no more drugs being sold in the United States? Is that what you're telling me right now? Because it sounds like a whole lot of BS.
yeah. That's the thing.
But
They gotta spice it up, you know? Spice it up, make it look good in the public eye because they know that
it's not real
America
spicy to
itself is
me.
like a huge mental asylum, right? So that everybody's on something. And
Mm.
they realize that, yo, in all the major cities, there's a crazy amount of a crisis, a drug crisis, addiction crisis, all these different type of
Mm.
challenges and issues within the inner cities, and they
And
have
our
to
city too. Look at our city.
exactly. They have to figure out a way to make
You
it.
know, Our city's full of dope fiends, and we're up in Canada.
Exactly. So
Imagine
imagine, just
New York,
imagine.
LA, Chicago, DC, Detroit,
Philly,
Philly,
Houston.
Houston, St. Louis, Arkansas, Memphis.
Yeah, yeah. All these places, man.
What else? Maryland,
Baltimore, B Town. Yeah. Boston.
Houston, Dallas.
Boston.
Uh, 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 Baton Rouge, all the third, the fifth ward to wherever, New Orleans,
New Orleans, man. Yeah.
you know,
All these places, man.
or Portland, Oregon, you know. Think about it. San Francisco, the Bay Area, Ohio,
Mhm.
Rhode Island, Boston. Come on, bro.
Yeah.
Do I need to continue?
No, it's just it's
Do
a
I
it's a
continue?
epidemic. It's a drug epidemic, addiction
Yeah,
crisis. You know what I'm saying? The place is a big, like I said, a big mental asylum, man. Everybody's sick and needs medication. So it's like
yeah, but how much medication are you gonna give these people?
they
You have to give
they
them the drugs, man. They need the drugs.
they gotta point the finger at somebody, right? Cause they don't want to take accountability for their own. So they
So
have to figure out
you telling
a
me all those
scapegoat.
drugs come through the border every year, and they keep locking up kingpins. So obviously it's not the kingpins, it's the friggin' border.
Right.
And then they're saying, oh well, it's not the border, it's the illegals coming over the border.
Hmm.
Newsflash. If you guys kick out all the legals today, there's still gonna be drugs coming through the border. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, come on. Let's be honest with ourselves. If I had drugs coming out across the border, I'm making billions of dollars. I'm in the government. I'm just gonna throw all that away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, you're not gonna throw all that away. So it was a strategic move. Go get the oil and make sure that Russia and China can't come over to our side of the world. That's all it's about. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But why?
such country.
Are we still gonna be end up the face of selling dope in the neighborhood?
Right. So wait.
They say he worked very closely with a cartel to kill people. So you tell me the United States is not working with nobody that's killing people right now?
That's crazy. Countries.
Look it up. See if there's any countries that they work with that's killing people. Because last I checked, didn't they send a missile to Nigeria?
You said what now? Check if there's any countries that what?
That they work with that are known for killing people. Well, you can't really find a country like that because they're gonna justify it in some way. I'm sure they have allies that are not too favorable in the world. You know? So you know how they like to spread freedom and democracy everywhere. And then you can barely recognize those countries after they go in and invade them. Look at Afghanistan and Iraq, you know? I don't know. It just seems shady, this whole thing. It just seems shady to me. I don't know, bro. I could be wrong. And then again, I know I ain't wrong. You know what I mean?
No, it's definitely very shady, man. Colombia.
Listen.
It's going to be a very important. This is a very big evening that took place last night. We have to be surrounded by safe, secure countries. And we also have to have energy, very important. We have to have energy that's real energy, not where they're getting 4% and 5% of the energy out of the ground. You take a look, it was such a disaster. So what's going to happen with Venezuela, I think, over the next period of a year, is going to be a great thing, and the people of Venezuela will be the biggest beneficiaries.
Military. What did you last speak to Maduro about when you spoke? And is it
Well, I don't want to get into the conversations, but I did have conversations with him, and I said, you got to surrender. And I actually thought he was pretty close to doing so, but Now he wishes it, yeah.
Mr. President, can you explain, you said that Maduro is responsible for drug trafficking. You recently pardoned the former president of Honduras who was convicted for many drug trafficking. Can you explain how these two situations are different? And would you ever pardon the
I endorsed, as you know, the winning president, the man who won in Honduras. I endorsed the man who won in Chile. I endorsed the man who won in Argentina. And we are doing very well with that whole group. But the man that I pardoned was, if you could equate it to us, he was treated like the Biden administration treated a man named Trump. That didn't work out too well for them. This was a man who was persecuted very unfairly. He was the head of the country. He was persecuted very unfairly. And there are a number of them. And we felt that it was a very unfair situation that happened to him. He's also a party member of the man who won. So obviously the people liked what I did. And one of the reasons that was done is because of the fact that the party in power felt very strongly that that man was treated very badly. I studied it very quickly, and then I studied it in great detail. I went to a lot of the people standing behind me, and they felt that that man was persecuted and treated very badly. That's why I gave him a pardon.
Mr. President, you referenced boots on the ground earlier. Can you just sort of button this up? Do you envision the U.S. military having a presence in Venezuela as the U.S. runs that?
Well, no, we're going to have a presence in Venezuela as it pertains to oil, because we have to have, we're sending our expertise in. So you may need something, not very much. But no, we're going to be taking out a tremendous amount of wealth out of the ground. And that wealth is going to the people of Venezuela and people from outside of Venezuela that used to be in Venezuela. And it goes also to the United States of America in the form of reimbursement for the damages caused us by that country. So I want to it was so nice.
The oil goes.
Thank you.
The oil is because of the damage from the drugs that he saw.
Okay, you had a phone.
And believe that?
With him on Monday. Did he talk at all about Maduro? Did y'all talk about this?
No, we didn't. We never spoke about Maduro.
Are you mad at him right now? I mean, there's this
I'm not thrilled with Putin. I'm not thrilled with Putin. He's killing too many people.
I thought
that would be so. I settled 8 1/4 war. You know what the 1/4 was? Thailand and Cambodia. I did it again. They broke out, and I did it in about 5 hours, and I settled it. I'm giving myself 1/4, so I'm at now 8 1/4. In other words, I settled the war, but then they broke out. They had a pretty bad breakout over the last 4 days. I got them to go back to peace. So I only give 1/4. I thought the easiest one would be, one of the easier ones would be Russia, Ukraine. It's not. And they both have done some pretty bad things. And look, that's Biden's war. That's not my war. But I want to stop the last. Did you see where last month, 30,000, it was 27,000 the month before. 30,000, mostly soldiers, were killed this last month. 30,000. I want to stop that. You know, I got NATO to pay 5% instead of the 2% that they weren't paying. They weren't paying 2, now they pay 5. And we send them a lot of munitions, we send them a lot of things, missiles and various other things, a lot. And they pay. The United States is not losing money. We're probably making money on that. It's the last thing I care about. I just want to stop all those people. We're losing 25, 30,000 human beings. They come from 2 places that are very far away. But if I can stop, because it's something I've been pretty good at doing, deals, I guess, it's all a deal. Life is a big deal. But if I can stop that war and stop 30,000 young people.
Life is a big deal.
People are being killed in Kiev, people are being
Life
killed
is
in
a
other
big
cities,
deal.
right? You know,
And he says he's the best at doing deals.
Viciously killed.
He's a
So I'm not happy
businessman.
about it. I thought that would be something that would get solved.
And
We have Mr.
these
Witkoff here. I
guys
think
is
that
boss.
we're making progress, but
And everybody else
that's
is
a war
his
that should have
apprentice.
never happened. If I were president, it would have never happened. Putin says it, everybody says it. If I were president, that would have never happened. But
Get on this guy.
that was Joe Biden, Zelensky, and Putin. I came into the situation.
Who is
and
this
it's a
guy?
mess. And I will say this, I watched an operation last night that was so precise, it was so brilliant. I mean, it was incredible. If we had our people, like this general and our people involved, that war that war would not have gone on very long, that I can tell you. That war, to use an old term, that war has become a bloodbath. And we wanted to get some.
So they can do this and they're high and mighty. But why don't they go help the people of
9 days after the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Ukraine?
As an American delegation makes a discreet landing.
Oh, they're gonna talk about Ukraine now. But that's to be continued, y'all. I ain't gonna give y'all all the game right now. We're gonna get into Ukraine too.
Got to.
In the episode, you know what I'm saying? Because there's no way that this shit is not all tied up together. He said he's not happy with Putin, but he can never go in and extract Putin. So he goes in and extracts Maduro. Well, Putin's killing too many people. Ain't this some shit?
Yeah. It's a simple case of I ain't gonna mess with them because they got big guns too.
Straight up, bro. I thought they were the baddest though. I thought they were the biggest and the baddest, and they do shit with pinpoint accuracy.
We're just trying to gas it up a little bit. Ain't nobody else gonna gas themselves up, so they're gonna be the first ones to do it. I guess. It's very
It seems like it's you know. This is not a fucking video game, bro.
It's
We
distasteful.
don't care about your gas. Just tell us why it's good for the good of humanity, you know? Okay, he was selling drugs, all right, whatever. But don't tell me, oh, he was selling drugs in your backyard. Now you got to go to his country and take his oil, take the oil from the people. Oh, I don't know, bro.
There's more to it. It's still early in the first quarter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a lot more to it, man. We're gonna
So
get to
we
the
gotta
bottom.
let it
Oh,
unfold
but
a
let
little
me tell
bit
y'all
more.
this: the president that they want to put in there as the interim president, she's the vice president. She's a loyal. She just committed her loyalty to Israel. They're seeing her. They've seen her pray in front of that wall thing there, you know. And she vowed to make Venezuela their closest ally in South America.
Okay, so that's how they're doing it, eh? That's how they finesse the play.
Yeah.
That's what's up. It's smart. I'll give them that. But like I said, there's more to it. So we gotta let this unfold a bit, so we could chop it up a little more.
So the Zionists are behind it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Trump's just on the string doing his thing, you know. But we'll see. We'll see how far it goes.
Yeah, exactly. We gotta let it unfold a bit more still.
All
Because
right.
it's definitely a little messy, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes moving forward.
So catch us back here tomorrow. Say Mac time, say Mac channel, say boy Mac Bizza. We signing out. WY. They already know our slogan. Keep it real in the field. Forget how they feel. I'm out. Peace.
Deuces.